A Nintendo Switch conspiracy, the end of an era which gives us suspicious signals for the future, and Nintendo games for babies. We've got it all on this show, so good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Hope you're all doing freaking fantastic. Thanks for joining me. I'm here to make your day better and fill you in on everything Nintendo in our world. We're kicking it off with a conspiracy, and let me know in the comments down below what your favorite piece of information is today, your biggest story that you are into. We'll kick it off with file size shenanigans. Everybody was up in arms yesterday evening because Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition is releasing on Switch this Friday. Great news, all right? Batman might be delayed, but Borderlands is about here, and we've seen very little. 3 screenshots, no trailers. What is actually going on? And then some clever sleuths saw that on the Borderlands 3 Nintendo.com page, the game file size is listed as 6.7 gigabytes. That is a tiny file size for an Ultimate Edition of a game that housed like 50 gigs. And Borderlands 2 was bigger, and all of this makes no sense because comprising Borderlands 3 plus all the DLC should be way more. So people began to question, what kind of quality are we going to get? Will this port be absolute poop? Which sort of screams in the face of what we've had in the past because 2K has done really good work on Switch. Their BioShock ports, their XCOM ports, and their Borderlands ports over the years have actually been really nice. Well, let me break the news to you that if you scroll down, Nintendo just doesn't know how to organize itself. Or rather, they like to hide the fact that their games can't all fit on their tiny little cartridges. Because lower down on the page it says Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition requires a download of at least 11.57 gigabytes and up to 26.59 gigabytes with free add-on content, micro SD required. So on top of the 6.7 gigs that are going to be on the cartridge, you're getting an extra anywhere from 11 to 26 gigs, making this a 17 to 33 gig game. Now that feels a lot more like it, and the conspiracy has been poofed. Like most times, there's really not much there. Tinfoil hats are off, and Borderlands 3 should, by all accounts, be a really nice port. I'm actually pumped to play this one portably. I think it's going to be sick. Detective Pikachu Returns is your first foray into Nintendo's holiday lineup. The game is out this Friday, and it's kind of probably what you expected. Reviews are in, and we're sitting at like a mid-60s Metacritic at the time of recording. We're looking at a 68 score, which is not great, but also isn't horrible, but also is highly affected by some very strange high scores. There's 100 in here, there's a few 80s, and I'm not sure. Those must just be Pokemon super fans, because the general consensus is that this is a silly, lighthearted, very repetitive, very easy adventure with low marks for the presentation. Graphically, this game does not look good at all. It reminds me very much of the 3DS original, and most reviews highlight that yes, this is a silly, lighthearted adventure, but unless you're a young child or a Pokemon fanatic, this game is definitely a pass for you. Now, Detective Pikachu Returns is a $50 price point, which is nice. Nintendo loves to do that, $10 off for games that they, I guess, don't feel are worth it. We saw this recently with WarioWare, and we will see it more in the future, I bet. It almost feels like a big flashcard that says maybe don't get this one. I know that's not Nintendo's intent, but this game is clearly made for a very specific audience. If you're looking for a puzzling detective adventure, not going to really find it here. If you're looking for a great Pokemon game, not going to find it here. If you're looking for an awesome story that has twists and turns and is presented very beautifully, not going to find it here. What you're going to find here is a funny talking Pikachu in a very easy package that can be played and enjoyed maybe by a family or you and your younger sibling or child. Or I guess, hey, look, if you just want to chill back, drop $50 and enjoy, maybe you can find some value here. But I'll be passing on Detective Pikachu Returns, and not a great start. After this, though, you'll have to wait till October 20th for the appeal to everyone Mario Wonder, that it's really quickly approaching, like 2 weeks away. Then we've got WarioWare Move It on November 3rd, and Mario RPG bringing some much needed hardcore RPG tactics on November 17th. Which of the holiday games are you most likely to pick up? Let me know in the comments down below. Today's games and consoles have an existential risk that games of the past did not. When I was small, I would play pro wrestling against my dad. and that was pro wrestling forever. When I was a little bit older, me and my brother would play against each other in Mario Kart 64. That's Mario Kart 64 forever. The point I'm making here is that today, some of your favorite multiplayer memories, they are held in the balance by the companies that run the servers and maintain the online stores. We know that Nintendo has been slowly winding down the Wii U and the 3DS by closing off all the purchases and the stores in March of this year. Well, now Nintendo has officially announced the final death knell for the 3DS and Wii U, which will be April 2024, early April. Online play and other functionality that uses online communication will end for 3DS and Wii U software. This also includes online co-op play, internet rankings, and data distribution. Quieting the 3DS and Wii U forever. Well, at least in some ways, but this isn't truly the final death knell because Nintendo is still going to allow you to re-download past purchases. So there still is a flicker of the flame that, hey, if somehow your system gets corrupt, your game file messes up, something goes wrong, you still can access the actual game itself. But in another way, it does feel like a nail in the coffin because functionality and entire sections of games are now going to be X'd out. Anything that included online play, that part of the game is gone, dead, no longer accessible. Now, I am seeing rumors pop up and conversation online about, hey, starting personal servers to try and keep some of these things going. A game like Splatoon 1 will never be played multiplayer again, and that's the major focus for that title. It's very interesting because the Wii U, I mean, it's been 7 or 8 years, but in terms of like the grand history of humans, that's a very short amount of time. Imagine if Nintendo decided to shut off all the Switch multiplayer servers in another 7 years. Animal Crossing New Horizons, you can no longer visit another person's island again in 2030. Now, I'm not saying that's going to for sure happen, but just to paint that picture with a more recent example, like, hey, hypothetically, that's pretty scary. We are at the mercy of when these companies decide to shut off the servers, cancel out the online multiplayer, and even close down the shops. You can't buy 3DS or Wii U stuff, but you do have access to re-download, so like, what's yours is still yours, until maybe it's not at all. I do hope that going forward, there is a more, I don't know what you call it, but a more long-living, fluid ecosystem. And I think that's something that Nintendo Switch Online is trying to build. You see, Nintendo transferred over to this new Nintendo Switch Online system with the onset of the Switch generation. Therefore, there's no connectivity back to Wii U or 3DS. So they're operating two entirely different, entirely separate functioning systems, and maybe it will be better if we have one unit. Like, we're not going to shut down Switch Online because Switch Online is going to power Switch 2 and hopefully power Switch 3, and that should ensure longevity. Specifically from Nintendo, I do think this will get better moving forward, and I do think this strange soon shutdown of both the 3DS and Wii U servers is more an anomaly than a sign of things to come. Yet it does make you remember that these games that you enjoy now will not be a thing forever, except in very niche communities and maybe via some special modifications on a system or your computer. There's no way to go back and play certain things that you used to play, and for me that does feel a bit weird. Now, I'm not the biggest multiplayer gamer, but it's odd that for me in my childhood, everything I played, I can show to you right now. Everything I played, I could show to my future children when they're eventually born. But for some of you, whose favorite nostalgic moments reside in this era, that will be impossible. If you just started gaming now or recently, there will be plenty of experiences that you cannot share in the future. You cannot re-experience yourself. You cannot have nostalgic feelings for it because you won't be able to go back. If I'm missing the Super Nintendo, I just pull out my console and all my games work. If you are missing the past and you're, say, a Wii U player, that was your first console, your experience is not going to be the same. I feel, for the first time, sad about this, and I don't know why it's hitting me now with this April 2024 date, but yeah, if you plan on playing any multiplayer, you got 6 months, have a Wii U party, get active on your 3DS, and watch out, because nothing lasts forever, and now, that's true for your video games, and even the experiences you've had as a child. This is getting way too dark, dreary, and depressing, and I think seasonal depression is already hitting in some of the colder areas. So I'm going to end this conversation. You let me know your take in the comments down below. Did you have a favorite Wii U or 3DS multiplayer experience that you will miss out on? Let me know in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. And until next time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. SwitchForce out.